You send an API request. But how do you know if it actually worked? The answer is hidden in one number called the HTTP status code. Today, you'll learn the only status codes every API tester should know. Every HTTP response contains a status code. It tells us whether the request succeeded, failed, or if something unexpected happened. Checking the status code is one of the first validations every API tester performs. There are 5 categories, but in API testing, you'll mostly work with the 2XX, 4XX, and 5XX series. Status codes, starting with 2, indicate that the request was processed successfully. These are called 2XX success status codes. 200 OK meaning the request was successful and the server returned the requested data. You'll most commonly see 200 OK when sending a GET request to retrieve data or a PUT request to update an existing resource, along with the user's information. You'll also typically receive 200 OK after successfully updating a resource with a PUT or patch request. Simple way to remember, 200 OK. Everything worked successfully. 201 created meaning the request was successful and a new resource was created. This status code is most commonly returned after a POST request. You send a POST request to create a new user. POST users. The API responds with 201 created and returns the newly created user, including its generated ID. Simple way to remember is 201 created means a new record was successfully added. 204 no content meaning the request was successful, but there's nothing to return in the response body. This is commonly returned after a delete request. The API successfully deletes the user and responds with 204 no content. The deletion worked, so there's no user data left to send back. Simple way to remember. 204 no content means the operation succeeded, but there's no data to display. Status codes that begin with 4 are called client errors. These errors usually mean there's something wrong with the request sent by the client. In other words, the API received the request, but it couldn't process it because of an issue with the request itself. Let's look at the most common 4XX status codes you'll encounter while testing APIs. 400 bad request meaning the server couldn't understand the request because it contains invalid or missing data. This usually happens when the request body is incorrect, required fields are missing, or the JSON format is invalid. Imagine the API expects a user's name and email address, but by mistake, you send only an incomplete name field and forget the rest of the required information. Since the request is incomplete, the server can't understand it and returns a 400 bad request. Easy way to remember. 400 means your request is invalid. Fix the request and try again. 401 unauthorized meaning the request is missing valid authentication credentials. The API doesn't know who you are because you didn't provide a valid access token, API key, or login credentials. For example, you send a request to a protected API without including a bearer token. The server responds, 401 unauthorized because authentication is required. Easy way to remember. 401 means you need to log in or provide valid authentication. 403 forbidden meaning you are authenticated, but you don't have permission to access the requested resource. Unlike 401, the server already knows who you are. The problem is that your account doesn't have sufficient permissions. For example, you're logged in as a regular user but try to delete another user's account. The server responds, 403 forbidden, because your account isn't allowed to perform that action. Easy way to remember. 401 means I don't know who you are. 403 means I know who you are, but you're not allowed to do this. 404 not found meaning the requested resource doesn't exist. The server couldn't find the endpoint or resource you're asking for. Imagine you're trying to view a user with ID 999. You send this request. Get users 999. The server looks through its database for a user whose ID is 999. But there isn't any user with that ID. Since the resource you're asking for doesn't exist, the server responds with 404 not found. Easy way to remember. 404 means the resource you're looking for doesn't exist. 409 conflict meaning the request conflicts with the current state of the resource. This usually happens when the operation would create duplicate or conflicting data. For example, suppose your application requires every email address to be unique. You try to create a new user with an email that already exists. If john@example.com already belongs to another user, the server may respond with 409 conflict, because creating another user with the same email would violate the application's rules. Another example is when two users try to update the same record at the same time, and one update conflicts with the other. Easy way to remember. 409 means your request conflicts with existing data or the current state of the resource. Status codes that begin with 5 are called server errors. Unlike 4xx errors, where something is wrong with the request sent by the client, 5xx errors mean your request was valid, but the server failed to process it. In most cases, these errors are not caused by Postman or your request. Instead, they're caused by issues on the server hosting the API. Let's look at the most common 5xx status codes. 500 internal server error, meaning something went wrong on the server, but the server doesn't provide a more specific explanation. This is the most common server error you'll encounter. Suppose you send a valid put request. Everything about the request is correct. However, the server has a bug or encounters an unexpected exception while processing the request. Instead of completing the request, it returns 500 internal server error. This is exactly what we saw with the JSON placeholder users 11 example. Our request was correct, but the server failed internally. Easy way to remember. 500 means the server crashed or encountered an unexpected problem. 501 not implemented, meaning the server understands the request, but it doesn't support or implement that functionality. Suppose you send a patch request to an API. The server recognizes what a patch request is, but the developers haven't implemented patch support yet. The server responds. 501 not implemented, easy way to remember. 501 means the server doesn't support this feature yet. 502 bad gateway, meaning one server received an invalid response from another server. This usually happens in systems where multiple servers communicate with each other. Imagine your request goes through an API gateway. The gateway forwards the request to another backend service. If that backend service returns an invalid response, the gateway returns 502 bad gateway. The problem isn't your request, it's the communication between servers. Easy way to remember. 502 equals one server received a bad response from another server. 503 service unavailable, meaning the server is temporarily unavailable. This often happens because the server is overloaded, undergoing maintenance, or temporarily offline. For example, you send a request during scheduled maintenance. Instead of processing it, the server responds, 503 service unavailable. This doesn't necessarily mean there's a bug. It simply means the service isn't available right now. Try again later. 504 gateway timeout, meaning one server waited too long for another server to respond. Again, this commonly occurs in distributed systems. For example, your request reaches an API gateway. The gateway sends the request to another service. That service takes too long to respond. Eventually, the gateway gives up waiting and returns 504 gateway timeout. The request may be correct, but another server didn't respond in time. Easy way to remember. 504 means the server waited too long for another server to respond. During API testing, we don't just check the response body. We also validate that the API returns the correct HTTP status code for every scenario. That's the basic idea behind HTTP status codes. As an API tester, checking the status code is one of the very first validations you should perform before looking at the response body. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more practical API testing and Postman tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.